What happens when we die?
That's an easy question. I know that's the hard question, but that's really the easy question. And first, let me tell you how I know, because how do you know what happens when you die? Well, I know from several approaches. One, it's easy to do a mind-to-mind connection with somebody and then just follow along with them. So you see, hear, smell, and taste what they see, hear, smell, and taste.
This is kind of exactly what was talked about in that video that I made last night about the white light trap, that this is how this information was learned. It was basically by some sort of remote viewing at the moment of death. So he's kind of saying it in different words, not exactly in those words, but saying attaching to the consciousness and then observing what that person is observing, feeling, sensing at the moment of death. Very, very interesting.
And it's just a mind-to-mind connection. You know, what was it? Spock used to do that with the fingers on the head, right? He'd do a mind meld. Well, it's kind of like that. It's but not quite so showy.
You're tapping into somebody else.
Yeah, you attach it into somebody else's mind.
Yeah.
So you're just an observer. You're sitting there observing what they're doing.
Right.
And I've done that 2 or 3 times with people as they died.
Wow.
And you can just attach to them, and then you can go with them and see where it goes. And then you go through.
You were there while they died.
Yeah. You just attach to their consciousness. It's what you're attaching to, their consciousness. The body dies, the consciousness doesn't. So when they die, you're with their consciousness, and you can follow that process that they go through. And that's one way that I learned. The other way was that a long, long time ago, the larger conscious system gave me a job in the virtual reality frame I call the transition reality.
So he mentions this, the larger consciousness system. What is that? Is that just a description of God? And I think that's how I interpreted the first time I listened to this clip. And now, I mean, it could be that. I also wonder if that could be a reference, knowingly or unknowingly, to this archonic system that's described by David Icke and by Gnosticism. You know, when he says the consciousness system, maybe he's only talking about the system that he's able to witness or examine that is housing or encasing this realm or this planet or whatever, however far it extends. You know, so I don't know. I think in this video he said God is a consciousness system at some point, so maybe he is referring to God. But like I said, that thought didn't even cross my mind before. Now I'm wondering. And when he talks about this time where he was invited by the consciousness system to witness this or to be like a greeter, is what he's going to say. You know, that's what I'm kind of wondering, if there are indeed entities that are calling us after we pass on and trying to get us to enter the light.